Welcome back to FloTrack Podcast. Happy Friday, everyone. FloTrack Podcast at gmail.com is our email address. I'm Kevin. He's Gordon. I got this text from you, Gordon. I want to start here. I'm going to read an out of context Gordon Mack text where it says, "The more and more I look into this, they legitimately can win." And this was about the Iowa State men. You went overtime on your bold prediction for 2021. You didn't just say something on the pod and then move on. Then you started sending me, I'm not going to read all of this, but then you started sending me their whole roster of who can score. And it sounds like you've talked yourself fully into the Cyclones for 2021.
I feel like I've sent you the phrase, the more and more I look into this, I think they can win, with the backbone being the Sixers. Because I probably think that every other day. The more and more I look into this, I think Joel Embiid will be MVP. Which is, speaking of being MVP, he's plus 1,000
You also
for MVP odds. You need to take those odds.
I also got that too from you. I got to scroll up on my text. Here it is, the awards tracker for MVP. But Iowa State, can you explain to the people?
So I was actually looking more into it. I was actually texting their assistant coach about it, and they are aware that they have kind of like the way Wisconsin had that good indoor team, NAU had a good indoor opportunity, BYU outdoors last year. You know, it's always fun to find like the non-traditional team, that the non-Oregon, the non-Florida, the non-A&M that has an opportunity.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I got some more information. So I'll form it out for you right now. So they can go 1-2 to 10K. Kurgat and Kiptu can go, and you're going to do the math for me. All right. You keep tracking the math. Edwin Kurgat and Wesley Kiptu can go 1-2 to 10K. The only one out there who could probably beat them is someone from BYU, but no, I think they're going to go 1-2. So that's 18 points. They're going to go 2-3 in the 5K. Assuming Louis Grijalva wins the 5K, Kurgat and Kiptu can go 2-3. I mean, so what is that? Can you add that
18
up?
18 plus 14, 32.
Boom. Okay. Now they have this guy named Fogelstans. I don't know how to say his last name. He's a 400-meter hurdler. He's run 50-point low. And if you're a 50-point low guy, you're on the conversation of being able to make the final. Like normally it's 49 high, 49 mid-high makes the final. So if he improves, I could see him knowing that, hey, this is our one chance for a team title. Let's give him 7th. So that's 2 more points. So what are we at now?
We're at 34 points.
Boom. All right. So, wait, is that? Yeah, 34. So next, you have the hammer throw. They have this kid named Vlad Pizlenko, who another kind of similar to 400 hurdles. I think let's give him 1 point. Let's give him 1 point. Let's say he can get 8th. So what are we at?
Just one, huh? Just one for Vlad.
Yeah, just give him 1. Give him 1 point. Gets 8th. Then they have 800-meter runners and 1,500-meter runners. They have Festus Legat, Rashawn Rooms, Daniel Nixon, and Alex Lamong. That's a lot. They have 4 good 800-meter runners. One who is a NCAA title contender in Festus Legat. Rashawn Rooms, he's like a 147 guy. Nixon and Lamong are both 148 guys. So of those 4 people, I think they throw Legat into the 1,500. Hell, maybe even try to double him. I think Legat can get 2nd in the 1,500 behind Notre Dame. So it's 8 points. I think Rooms can get 5th. I think Nixon can get 6th. So that's another 7 points. So 7 and 8. So 15 points among those 4 athletes. So where are we at now?
That would be 50.
Okay. Now hear me out. They also got a good 4x4. They do, because Rooms can run they got the 400 hurdler who can run fast. Rooms can run a fast 400. Nixon can run a fast 400. They actually sneakily have a good 4x4. Not 3-minute 4x4, but they could, on a good day, maybe get 8th. So where are we at now? 51 points, right?
Yep.
Here we go. I'm not done. Do you know who else is on their team? They got more. Do you know who else is on the team?
Well, you already said Festus Legat.
Three-time transfer, Tanner Anderson,
Okay.
who
He's still got
started at
eligibility, huh?
Oregon, went to Washington, now he's at Iowa State. Boom. Maybe he sneaks in a point or two in the 10K, right?
Okay, we'll give him
And
one.
then here's
So we're at 52.
Yeah, 52. Now here's the last one. They have these two Kenyan transfers, one from a junior college and another one from Eastern Kentucky. Nehemiah 2 and Ezekiel Rop. They're like 14 flat, 14-10 guys, right? So nothing to write home about. But here's the thing. If they teach them how to run the steeple in a year where no one is running the steeple, right? We don't even know who's good in the steeple right now. It's a week event. They could steal some points, man. There is a window where they're like, who's out there like trying to become a steepler right now? Kenya has it in their blood with the great steeplers over internationally. Hey, man, throw them in there. They can sneak in 3 or 4 more points. Say they get 7 points between. Let's be more modest. Say they get 4 more points. Hey, we're now at 55 points. We're in the 55 range.
Actually.
56 points. Dude, 56 can win, man. They can straight up win.
Oh, they can more than win with 56. Now, is that steeple thing something they're actually considering, or did you just make that up?
No, I just texted them saying, hey, teach them how to steeple. That was just my idea.
Oh, okay. So that's probably not going to happen. Okay. But
it should. You should recognize, like, if you have 2 14 flat guys, and you're like, hey, we could win a team title, wouldn't you want to just see, like, hey, let's throw them out in the steeple and then see if they can run 840? And if they can run 840, you're like, oh, maybe we should put them in the steeple,
Yeah.
I just think it's worth it.
Well, you bring up a good point because a lot of the top talent in the steeple won't be there. But that you could say that about a lot of different events. But the steeple in particular, Fahey, Mahalski, Obsa Ali, those were the bigger names. I guess Ryan Smeaton's still around for Oklahoma State, still has eligibility. He would probably come in as the person with the fastest personal best, if I recall. But you're right. There's definitely more there. You were pretty conservative in some of those estimates. It's not like you were saying the hammer thrower has to win or they need to get 8 points out of the 400-meter hurdles. You were pretty conservative, and you still got to that number of 56. So definite podium. But I like that. I like that you're putting it out there. I like that you're spreading this around. You're not just putting all the pressure on Wisconsin and NAU. You've decided to pick a new team where you just heap a bunch of pressure onto them. And then there's going to be a who's playing the role of Oliver Hoare? Who's going to be the person who has to run 7 events because Gordon decided they had a chance at this thing?
Oh, it's going to be their 800-meter guys because we're going to have them really good. Festus Legat, who might have to double in the 15, or 800-meter guys who have to run like 2 rounds of the 4x4 along with their 2 rounds of the 800, that type of stuff. Check this out. The 8th top returner in like the steeple, I believe, is like 845. So like there's an opportunity. If 845 is like the cutoff for All-American, man, you can find a 14 flat guy and throw him in there and run 845. At least that's what
what's the returning list look like for the steeple? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me include. Oh man, I gotta do a different. Hold on. I gotta do it in a different way because the T-first list doesn't include results done at
NCAA's.
Oh,
just read me the NCAA. Read the NCAA list. I mean,
no.
I'm sure we'll have some guys.
I got it.
As I mentioned, Smeaton, but there's probably somebody else that I'm missing.
So, all right. Oh, people ran fast at prelims. Okay, so this does change it a little bit. Anyway, okay. So you got Smeaton, 827. Then Matt Owens, 832. Ed Trippas of Princeton, 833. Hey, Princeton's not going to be able to run. We'll take them out, right? Because Princeton's going to be, the Ivy League's going to be like, you're not running till 2032. But we'll keep them in just for the hell of it. So that's third. 833 is third. Fourth is 834. Alec Baston of Minnesota. 5th is BYU Kenneth Rooks, 836. 6th is Clayson Shumway, 836. 7th is Keegan Chamati of Middle Tennessee, 838. 8th is John Rice of 838. I have a feeling, though, some of those people are gone. Like, I think John Rice is done, I think. So let's add 2 more spots. 9th is Nathan Malenik, 838. And then 10th, Albert Kosegi, Louisville, 838. So it's basically 838, just under sub 840. I think will be
which
the
is
cutoff.
doable.
I mean, this is hard because
doable.
I'm looking at year eligibility in 2019. You know, there's people who probably who are like not going to take their 5th year, who are juniors in 2019 and just screw it in 2020. So you don't really know for sure, but I mean, the avenue is there. That's all I'm trying to say. The avenue is there.
When you read those names, it made me think: does BYU have a chance to win the NCAA outdoor title?
Well, that was in 2019. They had all the BYU guys in the steeple and the 10K, 5K, and they almost podiumed. I remember they were close.
Right.
It just didn't.
They didn't run very well in the steeple. They didn't. They could have gotten a bunch more points in the steeple. They didn't do well in the steeple, but they did incredible in the 10,000. I guess they don't have the non-distance events like a team like Iowa State does. So their points would basically just be limited to the distance events, unless they have somebody I'm not considering in the field. But I mean, Mance will be right up there. He's gonna get some points. Klinger, you think, could get some points? It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I like how we're talking about outdoors. We just skipped right over indoors and cross country. We're just zooming through.
That's a good segue. Good segue. Why are we skipping indoors? Because I don't think they should have an indoor. We don't think there should be an indoors this year.
Yeah, I posted the clip on the site yesterday. You called indoors a luxury, which in this year, which I agreed with. And I thought the priority should be on getting outdoor meets. We know there's going to be outdoor meets, at least for pros, in the end of January, beginning of February. People have been announcing meets, or there's been enough rumors about meets. And those, I would assume, you've talked to more college coaches than I have, but I would assume, Gordon, that it would be difficult for a college kid to run an outdoor meet before the outdoor season. Correct? Because their team is probably either doing indoor or cross country, or maybe they're doing a hybrid of both. But it would be tough then for them to try to find an outdoor meet within all of that, I would guess.
Yeah, and I was talking to a college coach, and the more and more I look at the indoor landscape, this is like the stars aligning for Power 5 coaches. Because Power 5 coaches have always said they kind of want to kind of have their own indoor championship. They don't like it when the NAUs come in and crash the party, or like something just random happens. They want it to be very like similar to like the SEC championship. They just want the best of SEC, best of Big 12, ACC, Big 10, Pac-12, and those are your champions. And because of the way these indoor schedules are starting to shape out, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about these new indoor meets that are popping up, it's going to be very hard for non-Power 5 athletes and schools to have access to qualify for NCAAs. And then as a result, NCAAs is going to be like 90 to 95% Power 5 schools, which is basically what the Floridas and A&Ms and Oregons of this world want, right? And it's going to be a unique year, and it's going to be really hard on the NAUs, the New Mexicos, and the others of, the BYUs of this world. I do know that I think Washington is going to be doing a smaller version of what they do. I think they're going to try to do because in Washington normally has 5 heats of the 5K, but here they might be like, all right, we want to bring in 10 5K runners who all we think can run 13:50 or faster, right? So I think they're going to try to turn it into super elite meet for college. But even then, it's going to be hard for like Arkansas talked about all their meets. So basically, Arkansas, Clemson, A&M, Texas Tech, they're all basically hosting Power 5 only meets, and there's not really going to be opportunities for a random kid from Indiana State to, qualify in the mile. Instead, it's going to go to another 4 flat guy from A&M or from, Oregon or something like that. You got muted on me. You're muted.
Sorry. The Indiana State guy will just have to do it in their home meet. Or that woman from a smaller conference will have to just jump that high in their own meet. Or the meet with the school that's only an hour away. I think what we're seeing is everything is going to be self-contained as much as possible. For the next couple months, there's going to be pro track meets outdoors. There's going to be pro track meets indoors. There's going to be NCAA meets indoors. There's going to be NCAA cross country meets that take place. But there's not going to be as much mixing, and we're used to everybody being thrown together into one big party on the track or on the course, and we're not going to see that as much, it shouldn't be as jarring as it is, but because we're so accustomed to that's how the sport being run, it is a little bit weird to think about how it's going to happen. Because I guess we can just kind of go through this like group by group, right? If you're a pro distance runner, how are you approaching the next couple months? What sort of meets are you running if you're a pro distance runner in the next couple months? Are you doing indoor? Are you doing outdoor?
If you're a pro distance runner, you're skipping indoors, and you're just trying to find these pop-up outdoor meets that will occur in warm weather states.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What if you're a pro sprinter? What are you doing?
Pro sprinter, if you're a good pro sprinter, you're probably maybe doing one indoor race and then call it a season, maybe two, or maybe you're going to do 0 to 2 if you're a good pro sprinter, because you're just realizing there's nothing in it for you. You just might as well just like get ready for ripping fast ones in April and May. That's what I think is going to happen. I think we have like Atlanta, the American Track League just announced that they're doing like a 4 meet series in Arkansas where they're going to have like 8 different events. It's just good, and they already announced like who they have coming, which is just Paul Doyle athletes so far, because he's the one who's putting it together. But Paul Doyle, agent Paul Doyle, I think we're gonna try to make what Millrose is, but we're not gonna get it. Like Millrose only exists because of people money. They have really good prize money and really good appearance fee money, and that's not going to be. People aren't going to be spending like hotcakes right now. They're going to be like trying to save up. USA Indoors is probably going to be like, screw it, we got to save up. I bet you New Balance Boston is going to be like, what are we doing? Let's just try to save up. They might try to. I mean, they're still on, but I just think the athletes are going to. I don't think athletes are itching to run indoors. They're itching to run the Olympics and run for the Olympics, and putting up a new 60-meter PB. It's like, okay, cool. Or running a 1K or running a 600. Like, does Donovan Brazier need to fly across the country to run a 600-meter run at New Balance?
Right.
I don't know. Right. It's not as, yes, when like, hey, it's like good for your season, it gets you good race reps, but like, it's not going to be the same. And I just think it's best for him to kind of be like, hey, let me just focus on the 8. But I don't know. I'm kind of talking in circles here.
What about, let me run through some other groups and you tell me what you think that they're going to do. So you said a pro distance runner would probably opt for just outdoors, right? As soon as they could. Pro sprinter, maybe one indoor meet and then just wait. Okay, NCAA, how about NCAA non-Power 5 distance runner? What do they do the next couple months?
That's the hardest one. Wait, what level?
National championship caliber.
National championship caliber? They do 1 or 2 indoor meets and then
And cross
focus
country?
and then just focus on cross country. I think the indoor meets will just be a training session for conferences and nationals. I think a
But the
lot of the
focus,
distance people, the focus is going to be cross country.
okay.
I think they're going
What
to,
a,
yeah,
what about Power 5 distance runner at that same level? How do you think they'll approach it? Will
same
they
thing.
same thing but with indoor at the end, or same thing and you think they'll go cross country?
I think the more and more I think about it, I just think that if you are a distance runner on a top 40 team, you're not doing indoors unless you can win indoors. Like, I just think that if you're a distance runner who's on a team that can make nationals, you're just going to focus on that. The only exceptions will be the Yared Naguses, the Louis Grijalvas, Connor Mances, who like, hey, I might win, right? Like the top tier will do both, but I think once, like if you're like a 359 miler, you're going to be like, no, you're going to just focus on like, but if you're like a 356 miler, you're going to be like, all right, we're going to try to do both. That's what I think.
Okay. So there are going to be people who do both, but in the run up to it, you think the emphasis will be more on cross country than it would be on indoor. Okay.
I think the races are going to be, they're only going to take one shot at qualifying. Oh, it didn't happen. Okay. They're not going to chase times like, oh, I need to get top 16. I think they're just going to be like, hey, we got it, we don't got it, and then move on. Like, I think they're just going to not put pressure on themselves to try to do well at indoors. It's like the only people who really care about doing well at indoors are the Power 5 sprint coaches, like type people who are like, don't need to worry about cross country and be able to put all their focus, you know. Like the team that really has it the hardest, I would say, is Arkansas, both the men and the women's side, because they have
to host
good,
every meet,
and they're hosting everything.
Yeah,
and they have a team that can a legit team that can win on both ends, right? So it's like that's because like if you're like say you're a sprinter on Arkansas, if the coach decides to pull his distance runners, your team goes from we could win to maybe we'll get 6th or 8th, right? And then if you're a distance runner and you force them to run indoors, they're like, hey, we could win cross country, but now we're getting 10th. It's like that's the hardest one of them all. Is I just can't imagine what Bucknam and Harder are doing right now, because they're probably like, shit, what the hell are we gonna do? Who do we? It's like having to choose which child you love more, right? You want to say I love both my kids equal, but this is the moment where you actually have to reveal who's the child that you actually love more. You know, that's the sad part. I mean, that's what they're gonna have to do. I mean, if Bucknam could, if Bucknam takes all of his distance runners and throws them in mix with his sprinters, that Arkansas team will be the favorite to win indoors.
Yeah.
But
So
if Bucknam rests them, that Arkansas team will be one of the top challengers to NAU and BYU. It's just like, what do you do?
If they weren't hosting it, I think it'd be even more of a toss-up. But because they're hosting indoors, I think that pushes it in the direction of you try to get it done indoors. And also because it comes first. And because you do it, you emphasize the fact that you're a complete program. Lance Harder talks about this all the time. Cross country, they use that as a building block for indoors, which is a building block for outdoors. There's a very clear succession of priorities. Now they've been really good. They won the national title last time they had a cross country championship for Arkansas. But that's his line of thinking. So that's what would lead me to believe that they would focus in that order on the women's side. Men's is a little different because that men's program has a better shot at a title this year in cross country. You're right. It's a tough decision, but I think because they're hosting, although now if there's no fans, does that change it at all? I guess you
Yeah.
get more coverage though because it's at home.
I mean,
And yeah.
you could also argue that, like, hey, if you're the cross country, if like maybe Bucknum could be like, all right, say we do, like, it's not like they're gonna have everyone back for the 2021 like fall version of cross country, so then maybe they might realize like, okay, let's just try to win indoors, and then we're not going to win cross country in March, but like, who cares? Like, let NAU win it again, and then we'll come back and try to beat them in 2021 fall.
Right. When it's a more normal schedule, but just
Yeah.
focus on try to do one thing here and do it well, and then not go crazy trying to stress people out and spread yourself too thin.
Instead of trying to get 2 fourth places, get a first
Yeah.
and an eighth. Like, would you rather go fourth and fourth or first and eighth?
Yeah. Well, and you're right, because it gives the sprinters and the field event athletes something more to compete for if they know that they have a legit shot at a national title, as opposed to they could get they could do their best and they're going to be eighth. This is a whole team, a whole program rowing in the same direction. Do you have any other thoughts on the?
You got to think that the Floridas and LSU's and A&Ms and the other the Houstons and Texas Techs, the teams that they're probably like praying that Bucknum cares about cross country, because if he doesn't, Arkansas is going to be super dominant in the distance events, because we know the distance events are not going to be as strong. And if they're not as strong, and then you're able to, like, Bucknam could be what NAU was last year, because they could just be like, we have everyone and everything, from the mile up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm excited for races to start. Speaking of races, like, Clemson's hosting a meet tomorrow. We're starting to get indoor, man. Those indoor meets start next week, but hey, we have a Clemson indoor meet. I got the heat sheets. We're ready to go, man. Yeah.
You want to just start reading names. Just start going through them one by one.
Corey Carter of Clemson, not the Corey Carter.
I was like, wait, what? World champion Corey?
I know.
Carter?
I was thinking the same thing.
What teams are there? Tell me the teams, just so I have an idea of what caliber meet we're talking about.
Team unattached.
Okay.
Team Duke, Georgia Tech, and Clemson. There's a Nike.
Okay, so
we got Natoya Gould and Krishana Williams running the 600. Leah Nugget
so there is some.
Is running the 600.
So there is some people that aren't. Well, I'm assuming Natoya Gould is probably a volunteer assistant for Clemson. I don't know about Krishana Williams, so maybe that's how she's able to do that, because I think it's probably pretty difficult for, as I said before, for collegians to run with pros and pros to run with collegians. The first one I'm looking forward to is next Saturday, that first Arkansas college meet. That should be pretty good. I'm excited about that one.
I'm looking at these meets. I mean, there's not many good athletes. There's just a couple, but it's a starting block. It is weird though, seeing like Clemson having these meets and knowing like what they're dealing with their men's program getting shut down, and it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of feel bad for like all these athletes. Like, I see all these Clemson male athletes who I know, like, hey, this is their last time running indoors. So it's kind of a bummer. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't bring it down a notch. Anyway, continue asking me the question.
I think we ran through all the different scenarios. I didn't know if you had any last thoughts or you wanted to move on.
Yeah, I think I have been talking to some coaches, and some coaches to this day still don't know what they're doing for indoors / cross country, which is wild. Can you imagine January 8th not knowing your indoor schedule or plan? It's like, it's wild. Normally, your indoor schedule like in November, right? But because of the situation and lack of being able to get into meets, it's gonna be weird, which is good. It's good for content, right? Something different. It's not just the same old, hey, heat 4, heat 5. Change it up.
It will look different. Yeah, track will look different. It has for a very long time. like the meets will look different. Just the fact that they're restricting entries to it is going to look much more different. We got an email here from a D3 coach, who is basically, it kind of echoes what you said, that this coach has a really like a high level athlete that are trying to qualify for nationals, but the athlete's only going to have one shot to get in, basically one shot to get a qualifying time,
Which would be like a home
because
meet.
of because of limited opportunities and budgets as well too. That's the two things that are colliding here too. So he says they might attend a last chance meet, but that's going to be difficult. So it's not just Division I, right? It's going to have impacts up and down the sport, just because of the amount of meets are so drastically different. I also got another email in here, another one from Ezra. It says Lincoln will be missed. That's the whole email. I'm with you, Ezra. I'm with you, man.
Same here.
He will be missed.
Already missed him. So there's like our group text. Sometimes I'm realizing like I can't like maybe text the group like some conversations. I have to go just now. It's just you and me, which is just like a little depressing. You know, I like when there's more banter involved.
I texted the group yesterday because I stumbled across an old Lincoln Shrike call from the Iowa State Classic 3 years ago, and I texted it to him and made a joke about it, and he didn't respond. I thought it was funny.
I thought there was gonna be a follow up. Like I thought it was like you're using it as a meme reaction to some news that just broke. For those who don't know, the video sent was him saying like, "Oh, it was about her. Like it was about a chase down. I think it was who was it?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Well, so I don't know. They're at Iowa State, and it's him, and I think is him and Taylor
Meg
on the call.
Taylor.
Oh, is it Meg? Sorry. Yeah. So with 50 meters to go, he goes, "This one's not over yet." And then he says, "This one's not over yet." And then she yells, "This is not over yet." And they just keep saying, "This one's not over yet." So I don't know. What I was going to do was I just filmed my screen. What I was going to flip the camera around to me, and then I was going to look really seriously into the camera and say, "This one's not over yet." And then that was going to be the end of it. But I have a new phone, and I didn't know where the button was to flip the camera. So then I just sent it as is. But yeah, clearly was not good group text. Yeah, he hasn't sent in the group chat since December 29th. So
maybe he's trying to tell us something.
I told him we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep the group text is not going to go away just because he's not here anymore. Okay, one more segment. One more news item I want to get to. Go ahead.
How blasphemous could we go at like talking shit about Lincoln? Because he's probably not listening to the pod right now. But like, how hard could we go where it would eventually get to him, where someone would listen to us going crazy hard on Lincoln, that it would eventually like get to his DMs or like an email to him directly? Like, what do we have to say for him to be like to find out? Like,
yeah. Well, you were trying to start rumors last podcast about why he wasn't here anymore. Yeah. But you had too many disclaimers. You kept saying it was because the Shoe King rollout didn't go well, right? It was all sorts of things. There was a lot of blowback because of that, trying to just stir the pot. Okay, last news item I want to get to for the week. Kate Grace, no longer with the Bowerman Track Club, Gordon. She announced it on her Instagram a few days ago, but she did say she is staying with Nike. So that's two big-name Bowerman athletes that won't be on the squad in 2021. Ryan Hill previously announced that he's going to Hoka Ncaa Elite. What do you think about this decision or this move here?
Did she say why in her post?
No. We never really get the why, especially right in the beginning. We never get the why. Yeah. So, no, I don't know. Who knows?
Do you think the why is a normal reason or like an extreme reason or just like a amicable reason or not amicable?
Oh, I think it's normal. She was very complimentary to everybody she trained with and everything like that. So I'm assuming it was a normal reason. I mean, listen, Kate Grace was good before she was in the Bowerman Track Club. Kate Grace is going to be good after she was in the Bowerman Track Club. So I don't think she has anything to worry about from a competitive standpoint. I think this is interesting though, because you talked about this was it you or Lincoln? One of you guys talked about this in 2019 about her best chance was in the 800, and then she was put in the 1500. And she would have made the team, right? Because
she would have made it.
we can, yeah. So, I just wonder now if maybe she'll have more freedom to choose what event she's going to be in. Not that she wasn't going to be in the 800 this year. I have no idea, but clearly the best path for her is in the 800 at this point. I think we could agree on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they should have. I mean, when you looked at that 2019 1500 and 800 fields, we should have recognized that the 800 field is going to send 4 because one of those American women was going to win the Diamond League, whereas Shelby or Jenny's odds of winning the Diamond League were not going to be the same way as Audrey Wilson and Raven Rogers, and they should have recognized that, and they should have put Kate in the 8. Like, it rhymes, Kate 8, right? All the signs are pointing to it, and I mean, at the same time, this was a classic. You know how like everyone with 400 meters to go thinks they have the best kick, but really only one of them has the best kick. I think that's what this, like, everyone thought like I'm a top 3 1500 meter runner, but really only 3 of them were. And I think, it was a strategic blunder. And I think, what if she ran the 8, made it? Do you think she is leaving a year later?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much in terms of contract stuff. I mean, if she's still staying with Nike, though, I don't know how this works. It would be, I don't know any more than anybody else does. So it'd just be complete speculation. But we've talked before about, how many people can Bowerman get on the team now? And they're getting so many people in these events that they're competing against themselves a lot of times for these spots because they have 3 or 4 women that are world championship or Olympic caliber. So now this spreads it out a little bit. Yeah, the 800 is just wide open after Wilson and Rogers. I think we can say that. So it would make sense that that's the event where she would go to try to make a team. But maybe she tries to do both. Maybe she puts her hat in the ring for both.
Do you think there's a newly formed group message between Andy Bayer, Ryan Hill, and Kate Grace, where they're like, like take down Bowerman 2021 hashtag take down Bowerman, where they all are gonna like finish one spot ahead. They're all gonna get third at the trials, and all the 4th place runners at the trials are gonna be Bowerman athletes, and they're just gonna be like, that'll be kind of cool. I mean, if Andy Bayer gets 3rd and Evan Jager gets 4th in the steeple, Ryan Hill gets 3rd, and Woody Kincaid gets 4th in the 5K. Just keep on. It'll be hilarious. I want that to happen. I want that for the news. For the news content, I want Kate Grace, Ryan Hill, and Andy Bayer all to get 3rd at the trials, and there'll be all to be Bowerman athletes who get 4th. That'd be great.
Bowerman doesn't have another 400 meter or not another 800 meter woman, right? So she was the one shot in that event. She was the one shot in their event. That's why it's interesting for me, because if you look at, man, how do they flood the zone at the trials? How do they get, I think I speculated this before, they could get maybe 7 women or something on it's Frericks, Quigley, that's 2. You could theoretically get 2 in the 10,000, let's say 1 in the 5K, and then 2 in the 1500. That's 7 right there. And then Grace in the 800. They could have had just a huge percentage of the spots. They still can, and they still will have a huge percentage of the spots. But this was an event, the 800, where she wasn't really going to be competing against anybody from her team, and an event where she didn't really have. I mean, like last year or 2019, she just needed the standard. Like this, the path is so much more direct here. Because my goodness, just in the 15 on her team, Sinclair Johnson and Shelby Houlihan, boom, boom, right there, and that you don't even get to the other women like Simpson, like Purrier, like Hiltz, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you know how to spell the word etc.?
Well, I do etc. dot. That's what I
Yeah.
do.
I don't think anyone in the world knows how to spell etc.
I think it's ETCETRA. Final answer. Can I have the origin of the word, please?
Can you use it in a sentence? Etc. Etc.
Etc. Etc. How are your indoor rankings going, by the way?
Dude, low key, I've been trying to do it, and it's low key very difficult. With like understanding transfers and stuff like that, and just it's just like every time I do rankings, the first ones, the preseason ones, it's always the hardest and the longest because you're trying to like just find everything and find unattached results, and it's just like it's just mind numbing. It's a little easier now because there's not many races in 2020, but you don't want to miss like Texas. They just got this random kid from England, I believe, who's like a 146 800 meter runner. He ran it in September of 2020, which if you take all only 2020 times, which is basically his Ncaa indoor season and pandemic meets, he has the second fastest 800 meter time. So it's like, where does this random Texas kid now rank? Is he the second fastest
7th.
800 meter runner? Seventh?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Always
I
put
don't
him
know.
seventh.
If you...
Two people are always seventh. You know, and then you have the high school kids who are like, you have no idea what they are. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
I don't
So you're
know.
not gonna have rankings, is what I'm hearing, until they start
Not,
racing.
I might have to wait until after the first meet, and then I'll release them. Yeah, because it's just going to be before that. Yeah, so that's probably what I'm going to do. What?
Here's my other question for you. It's a little different. Who's somebody in the professional world who's an established person who maybe hasn't made a team for a couple of years that a lot of people think, okay, they're not going to get back on the team anymore, who you think has one last run in them? Like who's somebody that's people think is done or assumed to be done just because we haven't heard from them in a while that you think can make the Olympic team? Any event.
Well, if my name was Lincoln Shrike, I would say LaShawn Merritt.
But that, yeah, he had him. He drafted him on his team. I was
like, why are you taking LaShawn Merritt, dude?
So that was the reason why Lincoln left. Just so people do know, that is the true reason. His draft was so bad that I said, you know what, Gordon, we got to elevate this. We got to get more people involved.
You could see someone like Eric Sawinski having like a dream final at the trials and gets third, right?
Okay.
Which would be like kind of, and you would be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. He's always in it, so it makes sense he's there, right? We don't know where the 800. We know Donovan. We know Clayton's gonna be good, but like the only person we've seen regularly is Donovan, and we know he's just gonna win. So, hey, you never know. That third place spot could crazy things happen, right? People who are good don't make the team, and it happens a lot. So I can see Eric Sawinski being like that guy who like, oh yeah, I guess he's super consistent and he just did it, right? On the women's side, maybe like an old school, like a Tori Bowie. I don't know what she done. I don't know. I haven't seen her in forever. But I guess her making a team, they'll probably pretend that she's been relevant all the time when really she hasn't been relevant since 2017 in my mind, right? Because that's the last time she was good. 2017, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was in Doha. She was in Doha, right? I remember.
But was she? It was just like
now.
It was like
now I'm doubting myself.
I mean, she was in Doha, but like she wasn't the Tori Bowie of 2017, where like she was like our American like dominant force.
Yeah, so she got fourth in the long jump, but in the 100 she DNS'd the semis. Yeah, it was kind of weird now that I remember this, because it's like, wow, you're a world champion, and then it was injuries, I think is what it was. Okay, so Bowie and Sawinski, those are both good picks.
But Bowie, I feel like doesn't really count because if she does make the team, people are going to think it's normal, or I think I'm more on the side that it's not normal, because the only reason she was there in 2019 was because she was the defending champ, not because she earned her way on. You know, I think she might be just transitioning to the long jump, caring more about that. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she had to qualify in the long jump though, so she
Yeah,
was
that's
healthy
it.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I like the 800 for this sort of thing because, as you mentioned, some wild things can happen in the 800. I went with Brenda Martinez. Nobody's talking
Ooh.
about Brenda Martinez. She's been way below the radar, but as I mentioned, she did run a couple races last year. She ran some 202s, so I think she could. I think she has one last hurrah, one last run in her. And we've spoken before about the 800, how that third spot is up for grabs. You feel really good about Wilson. You feel really, really good about Raven Rogers, but that third spot is up for grabs. So don't sleep on this person for 2021, Brenda Martinez.
Can I give you a 1B in the Brenda Martinez world? Shannon
Sure.
Rowberry, right? Shannon Rowberry, I think,
Well,
is the.
after last year, though, I don't think anybody's sleeping on her, right?
True, but she hasn't. When's the last time she made a team? 2017?
17? Yeah.
Did she make 17, or is it 16 the last time she made it?
Let's see. She made it in 17. Yeah, she made it 17. It was if last year didn't happen, if she just didn't run any of those meets,
Yeah,
and then she came into this year,
and did it. Yeah.
then you'd say, okay, well that's incredible. Like we totally slept on her. But I think after you run 15, what did she run? Or sorry, 14:45 and 4:02 in the 15. She's right there. So I think you need to go off the grid a little bit more. You need to go someone a little bit more, like who hasn't had a year, that good.
Dude,
Like
this
that's
is
more like
making
a
me
Ben
excited.
True type pick.
Ooh, Ben True's a good one who could make a team.
Yeah,
Maybe. I like that one.
but he still might be, because he made 2019. He still might be too recent. This is making you excited about what?
This makes me excited about when I put my predictions to paper of like, this is who I think the top three, this is I think the order, and then seeing how wrong I am or how right I am, right? I want to be right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
every year I think I'm like, oh no, this is what's gonna happen. I'm super confident.
Mhm.
Like I feel like I know something that no one else knows. And then I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
want to be right one day. How great would it be if like on like our pre-trials pod, I just go 3 for 3 on every single event.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
Yeah. That'd be
I mean,
impressive.
I wouldn't get anything for it. That's what sucks. It's like
No.
I can't gamble on it or anything. So
Yeah. My best prediction is a prediction I didn't even get right, but it was something that I was close enough to where people are like, wow, that was impressive. On my other podcast in 2012, after 2012, I predicted that the 400-meter record in 2016 would be broken in the Olympic final by Karani James. So I was so close. I was so close. He was there. He was in the Olympic. He was there.
Should have stopped yourself.
Yeah.
That's like me and Emmanuel Correa. I need to stop myself, not put it on him. Just say like it's going to be broken.
Yeah. But I had no idea who Wade Van Niekerk was, to my in my defense. But I was like, nope, this is going to happen. And people remembered it and were like, oh man, like, do you remember? And I was I didn't want any credit for it because I got the person wrong, which is a big deal. But it was because I called it 4 years out, that I felt confident that record was going to go down. Anyway, if you have sleepers for 2021, write in. Let us know who is being slept on that could make the Olympic team. That'll be a good thing to discuss throughout the season. But we will leave it there. I'm Kevin. He's Gordon. Thanks to Alon for producing. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.